80 jeunes rassemblés dans le quartier du Chêne Pointu commencent à jeter des projectiles sur les forces de police. Une balle de gros calibre est même tirée plus tard sur un véhicule de CRS.
It was a tragic day in the history of France that led to days of riots and the declaration of a state of emergency. The 27th of October 2005, 3 young men fled from a police patrol in Clichy-sous-Bois, just northeast of Paris. 2 of them, Ziad Benna and Bruno Traoré, found refuge in an electrical substation. They did not come out alive after being electrocuted. The incident ignited already rising tensions over youth unemployment and police harassment in France's poorest housing estates. The rioters calling for social justice, jobs, better and cheaper transport. Thousands of vehicles across the country were set on fire. In all, approaching 3,000 people arrested. So have the lessons of what happened been learnt, or could the tensions easily explode again? 20 years on, does Clichy-sous-Bois remain itself a symbol of the widespread discontent in the French suburbs? Well, for France 24, Ségolène, Malterre and Mélina Huet report.
It's a big day for up-and-coming architect Khadija Barkhani. For the first time, the residents of Clichy-sous-Bois in the suburbs of Paris get to see her most ambitious project yet, the Atelier Médicis. The multidisciplinary cultural space is set to open in 2027.
We put out a notebook in which the residents could write down their wishes, things they wanted, things they hoped for, and how they envisioned the future building.
And what stood out the most?
What stood out most was that they wanted a place where they could walk around, where they could get a good view from above the city. We came to them and welcomed them in, which is why they're here today with enthusiasm to discover the Atelier Médicis project.
Hadef Hassani, who lives in the neighborhood, walks by the construction site each day. This open house gives him the opportunity to satisfy his curiosity.
I've been living here for 40 years. No, 50. I'm proud we have something like everyone else. We were looking forward to this, so now we're good.
It's yours.
It's not mine. It belongs to the youth. They will see this, they will stand tall, they will see a new city.
5,000 square meters dedicated to the arts and 23 million euros in construction costs. But reaching a local audience will be the project's greatest challenge.
Here we have our performance hall that can hold around 350 people. Staying on the ground floor, we have a wood shop for residents. They can come and learn the craft, build things. We have a cafe, an atrium, and a space for exhibitions.
Like Ziad Benna, whose death sparked the 2005 riots, Khadija grew up in Chêne Pointu, one of the most dilapidated neighborhoods in Clichy-Montfermeil. It was here that her ambition to pursue architecture was born. She went back to school, earning her degree in 2022.
When I was young, I always had this conviction that when I grew up, I had to leave here. At 14, 15 years old, it was crystal clear to me. I clung to the idea of leaving to get me through. But growing up, I realized that if everyone left, nothing would ever change. So the idea is to have some traceability, to say that we will make sure things change. And for this to happen, we need to be actors of change.
But this change must not erase the memories of Clichy's past.
It's kind of like an escape game.
Memories which Khadija now protects.
All good, got it now.
In the city's old mosque, now abandoned, teams are collecting the original ceramics, laid 30 years ago. They will be reused in the construction of the Atelier Médicis.
There's a lot of symbolism in this building. The tiles of the hammam in particular will speak to people when they visit. They'll rediscover them. It's a way of not burying their memories.
Donc voilà, il y a plusieurs salles, etc. Donc, attends, la flèche, ouais, toujours. OK.
This is the large prayer hall. It's been here for over 30 years now. We come here to celebrate Eid, funerals, attend all kinds of everyday events, and to pray.
This space was not spared from the violence of 2005.
This is where tear gas was fired at worshippers during Ramadan. Obviously, it was a huge scandal. It was the first time that a sacred space had been attacked.
Les fidèles de la mosquée Bilal brandissent les cartouches de gaz comme preuve de l'agression dont ils se sentent victimes. Il est un peu plus de 22 heures hier soir. À peine une heure plus tôt, 2 grenades lacrymogènes policières éclataient en plein lieu de culte pendant une des prières du Ramadan.
With 30,000 inhabitants and no police station, police interventions in Clichy-sous-Bois were often confrontational. In 2005, the rift between the police and the public reached a breaking point. The government took note with the Clichy-sous-Bois Montfermeil police station. Boasting bunker-like architecture, it was opened in 2012. Approved by President Jacques Chirac after 20 years of lobbying by local representatives. Officers were designated to liaise between the police and the public, a role formerly scrapped by Nicolas Sarkozy in 2003. They refused our requests for an interview, but for today's young people, they're part of everyday life.
Honestly, they do stop and talk to us.
Does that create a bond between you?
I wouldn't say it's a bond because there's still a distance between us, even if we're not necessarily concerned by the bad stuff. There's still this distance between us.
These two students weren't born in 2005. For them, the symbol of police violence bears the name of another teenager. Have people talked to you about what happened in 2005? What it was like?
A bit. I don't know much about it, though.
I've heard a bit about it. Personally, I do. We still talk about the 2005 riots today. It's something that has affected us, and we saw what happened here after Naël died. It was a catastrophe.
The wave of urban renewal wasn't enough to prevent Clichy-sous-Bois from going up in flames in June 2023, after Naël Merzouk was killed by a police officer in Malterre. History repeated itself and opened up old wounds. Naoufal Mohamed, 35 years old, experienced a political awakening in 2005. In front of the memorial for Ziad and Bouna, he remembers that evening in the neighborhood.
It was incredibly sad and incomprehensible. Because, let's face it, no one at that time was talking about Clichy-sous-Bois. And I remember that was the first thing that struck me, the power outage. The power went out and everything went dark. And when everything came back on, it was pure chaos. At that moment, you unconsciously think to yourself, that could have been me. And the other thing that happened was that I had never seen anyone from Clichy on TV. And all of a sudden I see these young people from Clichy on talk shows, talking to ministers, but not in an arrogant way, in a relevant way.
In the aftermath of the riots, the Clichy-sous-Bois collective wanted to channel people's anger. Local mediators across the country met with French people previously left out of the conversation.
Le peuple, il est là, le peuple, il a des choses à dire. Par exemple, des pratiques policières, taux de répression vis-à-vis des jeunes. Ça, c'est le peuple qui l'écrit, c'est pas nous, c'est pas des statistiques inventées. C'est les gens qui l'écrivent, c'est la réalité.
The movement had unprecedented momentum. 20 years later, at the youth center, the group is still rallying around some of the same themes.
La question, c'est simple, c'est faut-il désarmer la police? Vous avez 5 minutes pour débattre et échanger de place, et dans 5 minutes, on revient et vous donnez vos arguments pour et contre.
La police, c'est quand même un organe important du gouvernement, et le fait d'être armé, juste dans l'imaginaire collectif, je trouve que c'est un élément très important et qui apporte du poids et de la crédibilité.
Ah, tu penses qu'ils en ont pas assez, là, actuellement?
Moi, je rebondis sur ça. Moi, je rebondis sur ça. Je trouve que justement, la police a assez de pouvoir justement sur les individus. Il y a beaucoup de violences policières qui sont causées sans aucune raison. L'individu qui s'est fait taser à Montfermeil, plusieurs coups de taser reçus pour aucune raison. Il était dans son commerce en train de vendre.
C'est bon, tout le monde a pu se connecter?
Allez, quiz. Le président de l'Assemblée est. Là, vous avez plusieurs réponses.
By developing critical thinking skills and educating people about institutions, Clichy-sous-Bois aims to pass on its legacy to the younger generation.
We draw parallels between the struggles of Martin Luther King Jr., France's 1983 march, and what happened in 2005. And when we talk to them about 2005 and everything that happened afterwards, they weren't even aware of it.
Back in 2005, Ahmad Lee worked to rekindle dialogue with young people across the country. Today, his terrain is the market, the beating heart of the city, where he manages the stalls and vendors.
The city is undergoing major changes. Here you have what will be a shopping mall. Here's where the metro will be, and not long ago we got the tramway. The city is becoming more accessible. We'll be 30 minutes from Paris, which will save us a lot of hassle. We'll all breathe a huge sigh of relief. It's important to understand there's an urban transformation happening. We also need, not a human transformation, but on a human level, we unfortunately need a lot more support. We're in a very disadvantaged area with many difficulties and challenges to overcome.
In Clichy-sous-Bois, France's third poorest city, 1 in 2 families still lives beneath the poverty line. Here, the market stalls are busiest at the beginning of the month.
There aren't any wealthy people who come here, only poor people, you see. It's a poor market, like us. Isn't that right, Ahmed?
Soon, only half an hour from the capital, the market could welcome a new clientele. Vendors are getting ready, like these corn sellers, who recently obtained a business license.
We have great corn. It's delicious.
It allows them to make a little money and to get through these difficult months. The goal is to be able to bring these people into compliance with the law and to be able to show another side of the Clichy-sous-Bois market, one that's in line with standards and has a diverse range of products and merchants. That's our role. We're faced with a generation that's much quieter, wrapped up in their screens. There's a deep unhappiness, but it's less visible. Today, I think that if nothing is done, we'll see more riots, because we're talking about people who are truly struggling financially. Rent prices are constantly rising, as are utility and energy bills, and we really feel like most people are being left behind.
A multicultural city, struggling but ambitious, Clichy-sous-Bois is finding its own voice. Each Wednesday since 2022, members of the citizen journalism outlet L'Étincelle meet. They are university students, high schoolers, or searching for work like Badialo Fofana.
Yesterday morning I was motivated. I handed out my resume at all the stores in Livry. Total disaster. The president once said to find a job you just need to cross the street. It's not true.
Sharing their reality, far from preconceived notions, is already a victory for these budding journalists.
What bothers me is when someone else tells my story for me. It happens a lot on French TV. People talk about things they have no connection to. This is what pushed us to create the show Les Concernés at L'Étincelle.
Podcasts, meetups, L'Étincelle is now looking far beyond Clichy's city blocks. The team has just returned from a week reporting in Istanbul, focusing on Turkish youth.
I think we collectively felt that we were able to reclaim our voice and our identity. But we didn't want this reappropriation of our voice to put us in a box. It's also important to note that the average age here is around 20 years old. And at 20, you want to see other places, to go and see what you don't know. This has guided our projects, at the beginning in French institutions, elsewhere, then last year in London, and this year in Istanbul. It also allows those who have been here longer to show the way to new arrivals, and let them know it's actually possible.
In Clichy-sous-Bois, things seem to take a bit longer than elsewhere. But as the city is transformed, a better life for its inhabitants could be on its way. This afternoon, the future Atelier Médicis hosts its first performance, in the middle of a construction zone in over a year before it is set to open. It's a sign that the city's residents are impatient to widen their horizons